On behalf of AARI Chennai and e-teaching Tamil, I welcome you all. Today, we have our special guest, Dr. Ajay Kumar Kaudam, Director Research, Associate Professor and Coordinator of School of Agriculture and Faculty of Science, Abhilashi University, Mandi, Himachal Pradesh. Sir is one of the renowned scientists and teacher in the field of mycology and plant pathology. Sir also serves as the guest faculty at School of Studies in Botany, Jivaji University, Gwalior, where he completed his master's and PhD. Sir has more than 10 years of teaching and research experience. Sir also holds various editorial positions in many prestigious journals, both national and international. Sir is being member of various scientific bodies on national and international scientific associations. Sir have published more than 70 research articles in highly reputed international and national journals, which includes 22 new taxa reports to India and 20 new records to Northwestern Himalaya. And also, Sir have contributed by publishing 4 checklists of fungal diversity from various parts of India. Sir also published 5 new fungal species to his credit. Sir's achievements are numerous, which can't be introduced in short time. Hence, without further delay, I welcome Dr. Ajay Kumar Kaudam sir to deliver a speech on need of the study of rust fungi in plant pathology. Sir, kindly lead the session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, your screen is visible now.
Is it visible now, sir?
Yes, sir. You are visible.
Okay, so
you can
I
start the
now?
session, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So honorable organizers of this 5th session of this webinar, I thank to all the organizers to providing this opportunity to share my research finding as well as my research experience with all the renowned mycologists as well as the different participants of various locations of the country. So with this, I must start. Today I am going to discuss or going to present or share my ideas or my research findings with all of you on the topic need of the study of rust fungi in plant pathology. So what is the need to study rust fungi in the field of plant pathology? Basically, in this particular presentation, we will include different titles. We will describe the general introduction, what basically the rust fungi is. Then we will discuss the common occurrence of rust fungi. Then we will again discuss about the where the systematically this rust fungi located in the fungal classification or fungal systemic. And then we will discuss about the fungi or rust fungi as a plant pathogen. In rust or rust fungi. So let's start and to try, let's start to discuss one by one. First is, what is rust fungi? So basically the rust fungi, it is a very specialized obligate plant parasite. Why obligate plant parasite? Basically it actively growing on, survive only on living host. It basically requires the living host for its growth, for its infection, and producing different spore stages only on the living host. That's why we mentioned here highly specialized obligate plant parasite. Then apart from this, it is the largest natural group of plant pathogens, including 95% of the subphylum, that is Puccinio-mycotina. It includes about 95% of all the plant pathogen, including in this subphylum, and it totally comprised of 8% of all the described fungi till date. Then why it is more interesting? Basically, life cycle of rust fungi, or not only the rust fungi, all the fungi are interesting, but in case of the rusts, this life cycle is a very complex one. Sometimes it requires one host, sometimes it requires multiple hosts, sometimes it complete its cycle in one type of this spore structures, sometimes it complete in different type of spore structure 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means, in other words, we can say it basically produce different fungal the rust genera to genera. It produce different complex structure during its life cycle. That is why the fungus is fascinating different scientists due to its complex life cycle. Another important point about the rust fungi is each species have very narrow host range of the host, and it cannot be transmitted from host plant to non-host plant. It's a very important point over here, that these rust fungi beautifully, or this rust fungi very strictly confined to their natural host, and they cannot transmit it to their non-host. And basically nowadays lot of practices are now in practice, the culturing of the rust fungi, artificially culturing of rust fungi, but still it is not a very easy job to grow the rust fungi in the form of pure culture. Then question is why it is named as rust fungi. So you can clearly see this is the rust in natural state on the plant surface, and this is the rust. We can differentiate between this is the rust. This is a rust on a metal surface. So you can see the similarity in color. Rust's color of the rust and the color on the host plant or the plant surface, and the color of the rust on the in this non-living surface, that is maybe having any type of metals, basically iron. So the similarity in color, it derived the name due to the appearance of the rust, sorai or Uridinia on the surface, as rust fungi. That is why it is known as rust fungi. Then how we identify commonly? It is a very typical job to identify the rust on up to genera, up to species, and up to systemic position. But in a for a common man, it is very easy to identify the rust, because for farmers, for students, the first important point to identify the type of disease. So identify whether it is a rust or other type of disease. So in first attempt, we can easily identify what this disease is rust. So how? It can be identified easily on the basis of its color. So you can see on the plant surface, it may be appeared as yellow color. It may be appeared as orange, light orange color. It may be appeared as orange color, or it may be appear as brown color, or sometime it may be appear as purple or even white color. So most prominently it appears as the orange color, yellow color, or brown color. This is the most commonly occurring color states of the rust fungi. So on the basis of this, preliminarily, any can be identified this particular disease is maybe of rust fungi. Then where it can be found, basically the rust fungi, it basically found on the broad range of vascular plant families, basically ferns, gymnosperms, monocot, and dicot. So in broad term, we can say it can be found in each and every type of plants except some type of plants. Then, like other plant pathogens, rust infect mainly the healthy plants, or if it grows very vigorously, it may limit the plant growth, or if it infect very huge amount, the plant maybe comes to death. Otherwise, in case of rust, the basically death of plant, it not takes place. General case, but in severe cases, it may cause the very huge loss of the infected plant. Then in case of perennial plants, or in case of semi-systemic infections, it may cause different type of deformities like witch's broom, like canker, or like gall-like diseases on the infected host plant surface. Sometimes it may cause stunted growth, it may cause chlorosis, it may cause another discolorations, or it does sporulate on basically on leaves, shoots, fruits, and woody stems. Then if we go further deep in the study of rust fungi basically produces diverse spore structures during its life cycle. In that, first one is Porogonia, to anamorphic states, telomorphic and basidiospores during their whole life cycle. So it is not possible all rust fungi possesses all 5 states. It may be possible some fungi, they may possess 2 states, for diverse structures of life cycles. Some rust fungi, they may possesses 4 stages of in their life cycles. So in short, if any structure of rust fungi of any state appears on the infected host surface, the clusters of spores, either may be any type of spores, that is may be known as sorus, or plural is known as sori. So you can see this is sorus, this is sorus, this is sorus, and all are known as sori. So these sorus, these on the basis of spore structures, they can be of different types. They may be of aciospores, aciosorus, aciospores, then iridosaurus, iridospores, then teleosaurus or teleospores. So this is the first investigation I would mention here, apart from the morphological identification. So on the basis of such type of structure, you can also identify the spore state or iridospores, aciospores, teleospores. Then is on the basis of the presence of spore structures in the life cycle, 3 basic types of life cycles are recognized in the life cycle of various rust fungi. It may be of macrocyclic, it may be of demicyclic, it may be of microcyclic. So if all the spore stages are present in or are present in the life cycle of any rust, that type of rust fungi is known as macrocyclic. If uridial stage is absent, then demicyclic, or if basidial, pycnial or acidial states are absent at that time, the rust fungi are known as microcyclic. On the basis of infection of 1 or 2 or more this host plants, again rust fungi can be of 2 types. If it requires 2 hosts to complete its life cycle or different spore structures, at that time it is known as heteroecious. Or if all the plant these structures or rust structures are completed on the single host, at that time it is known as autoecious type of life cycle of rust fungi. Then these are the different spore stage. Basically, life cycle of rust fungi, it involves 5 different types of spore states during its life cycle, either single host, either on 2 hosts. So these spore states are commonly represented by Roman numerals, that is maybe 0, pycnial stage, 1, that is acial stage, 2, uridial stage, 3, teleal stage, and 4, that is basidial stage. This is the general introduction or how we can identify the rust fungi on morphological basis, or in general term when we are wandering in and around about your offices, about during morning walk, during your homes. Now little bit taxonomical. Rust fungi, basically it belongs to kingdom fungi, division Basidiomycota, class Basidiomycetes, order Puccinales, previously known as Uridinales, and this is the current scenario of the families, genus and species. We have taken this current report from the latest publication in Mycosphere, that is Vijayvarni et al. 2020. So this time rust fungi, it is distributed in 15 families, 162 genera and 8,105 species. So now why the study of rust fungi is important? Now question is, why is important? So this rust fungi, it is considered as one of the most harmful plant pathogen in agriculture, horticulture and forestry. Then among all rust fungi, some fungi are reported as the most destructive and devastating pathogens, causing diseases such as stem rust, black stem rust, yellow rust, soybean rust, coffee rust, and so many. So these are basically our cash crops, wheat, soybean, coffee, and so many crops. These are basically associated with the export of these and generate revenue for the farmers as well as the country. So getting diseased with rust fungi, they definitely reduces the yield as well as the this healthiness of the plant. So that is why the study of rust fungi is important. Then this crop loss, annual crop loss, is not in simple rupees or some little amount. This loss is basically in millions around the world. And this loss can be greater if we unaware about this disease and we are not able to apply the suitable control measures well in time. So that is why the study of rust fungi is important. So first part, that is why I have included here how to identify rust fungi. After identification, it may be possible to apply the suitable control measures well in time so that we can reduce the annual loss to some extent. Then due to this economic importance, this rust fungi, it should be studied extensively. So let's start some examples about rust fungi. Why the study of rust fungi is important? So you all will very know, this is the yellow stem rust of wheat caused by Puccinia species. So due to this wheat disease caused by rust fungi, annual crop loss, it is about 20% when the disease is normal. But if it is if we do not apply any type of fungicide, or we not take care any type of physical, chemical, or this biological control measures, or any type of control measure, any fungicides, this annual loss, it may be exceeds up to or maybe more than 50% in case of epidemics of this yellow rust. So we can see this disease can be controlled well in time if we apply any suitable fungicides in very early conditions. So it is controllable. Then similarly, this is coffee rust. This coffee rust, it is a very economic crop of the world for export purpose of point of view. So it is, we are using this particular crop in international trade. So that definitely it will generate, it generates revenue. So this, it is also get infected with a type of rust that is known as coffee rust. And this is caused by a species of Hemilia. This disease, it can cause 50 to 80% loss of the production if you get infected with type of rust, that is Hemilia, and it can reduce the export up to 80%, because you know very well this time the conditions of quarantines are very strict. If our product is contaminated with any type of disease including rust fungi, the import or export, it is totally banned. Similarly, if we see the worldwide distribution, specifically the Western Hemisphere, this is the complete distribution of the coffee rust. In worldwide distribution, you can see India, then this part of the world, this part, then this is the African part, and this one is the South American part. So this is the distribution of the yellow color denotes the distribution of coffee rust worldwide. So you can say when the most of the part of India, it is included under the even Sri Lanka, you will be very surprised to hear here Sri Lanka is the top exporter of the coffee worldwide. So the whole country is under the threat of this coffee rust. So we will discuss here about India. So you can see the complete India, center to south, and this northwestern countries, northeastern countries, all are under the disease infection of this coffee rust. So that is why not only for the specialized scientist, it is important to study these rust fungi. This is also important to study the rust fungi for common farmers also. They should know this is rust and how it has to be controlled. Then this is the soybean rust. Similarly, in previous two, this is soybean rust. It is also caused by a genus of rust fungi, and it can cause the yield loss up to 80%, where the disease is very common. So this is the complete scenario of the rust distribution worldwide. The pink areas are areas where the severe infection and yield loss occurs frequently. So you can see this pink area. These are the pink areas. So these pink areas denotes where the severe infection and the yield loss occur frequently and the pathogen is endemic. Light pink area, it denotes where the infection occurs frequently, the pathogen does not appear to be endemic. So fortunately, if we talk about all the rust fungi, we are in this moderate frequency, and this green color, it denotes the areas where the pathogen has appeared since 1990. Severe infection and yield loss may occur. So this is not a specific rust disease wise, this is the overall scenario. So we can not say we are in a moderate region, so we are safe. No, we are not safe, because Rust is rust. It may be happen, one rust may be non-harmful or little harmful for crops, but another rust, they may be the highly harmful for crops. So we cannot avoid this thing on the basis of this coloration, but this is the general scenario why the study of rust fungi is important. Then is the common rust of corn. So two type of rust basically found on corn, that is common rust as well as the southern rust caused by Puccinia sorghum. So these are the symptoms. What this commonly this Puccinia does during after infecting the plant host, it may reduce the photosynthesis, it may reduce the production of sugars, then production of carbohydrates, then weaken the stalk, and then yield loss. Yield loss may result from poorly filled kernels and the lodging induced harvest loss. So this may be of different higher yield loss, it may be of lower yield loss. But in overall, we can say the rust fungi, it causes yield loss. So this is the differentiation between common rust as well as the southern rust. What are the ideal conditions for common rust? That is cool, warm and moist temperature, that is 6 to 70 Fahrenheit, and warm to hot temperature for southern rust. Appearance of pustules, that is large circular elongated in common rust, while small circular pinhead appearance in case of southern rust. Then the spore color, brown to cinnamon brown or reddish orange in case of southern rust, and cinnamon brown in case of common rust. Then location of pustules, that is upper and lower surfaces infect leaves only, while in case of southern rust, upper leaf surface may also infect the husk. So this is about the rust. Then this is again, I have not described all the rust. This is the list of, I have little bit tried to conclude here, and this include here, that is white pine blister rust, that is, this is caused by Cronarium natium. Then gymnosporangium, that is cedar apple rust, cause this is caused by Simonium. That is crown rust of oats and ryegrass, it is caused by Puccinia species. Stem rust of wheat, that is again caused by a Puccinia species. That is daylily rust, again caused by Puccinia species. Brown wheat rust, Puccinia species. Yellow rust, Puccinia species. Bean rust, Euromyces. Brown rust of sugarcane, again caused by Puccinia species. And orange rust of sugarcane, again caused by Puccinia species. So you can see each and every plant is under the threat of infection of rust fungi. Now I can say, must say here, each and every plant is under the threat of rust fungi. So as a human being, we only concentrate on the agriculture crops because agriculture, it provides us food. So if we concentrate only on agriculture crop, in that point, the study of rust fungi is important. So these are the different points I mentioned here why the study of rust fungi is important. Then what is the need of identification? If it is important, then what is the need of identification? It is the identification which provides the correct identity of the pathogens. If I call here, this is the Puccinia, that means I have some clues on the basis of identify, this is the daylily rust, it is caused by Puccinia. Otherwise, commonly it is a rust. So on the basis of rust, you cannot decide which pathogen it is and which type of control measures you have to apply to control that particular rust pathogen. So if you have a complete identification or correct identification of rust fungi, only then you will be able to identify, apply the complete control measures. Then it will help this identification, it will reveal the correct identity of the pathogen, and then it will help to choose correct fungicides well in time to control the disease. So this point is very important because rust fungi, it can be controlled if we applied suitable control measures well in time. So let's start with the basic identification points. How we can identify the rust fungi. Now we are going towards the scientific term in this field, how to identify rust fungi. We are going toward the laboratory work. In the early time of classification, basically in case of rust fungi, Tilia plays a very important role in classification as well as the rust identification of rust fungi. So before going further, I clearly mention here, Tilia is the best identification platform to identify a rust up to genus level. No doubt, all the other spore states are important, but the identification of Tilia, if we are successful to identify or locate the Tilia of the rust fungi, definitely we will be able to identify the rust fungi at least up to genus level. So Rust fungi are classified traditionally on the basis of morphology of teleum and teleospores. These are the different parameters which are used by various scientists involved in the studies of rust fungi. So initially, different families of rust fungi, these are derived on the basis of morphology of the teleum, and these are the Melanosporaceae, sessile or non-stalk teleospores. Then is Pucciniaceae, stalk teleospores and produced in single layer of teleum, and the Coleosporidaceae do not form the mycelium, but karyogamy and meiosis are occur directly within the teleospores. So you can see the based on the morphology of teleum and teleospores, initially three families of the rust fungi, these have been derived. Then in the year 2003, 13 families of the rust genera on the basis of combination of characteristics of iridospores, Asia and type of spormogonial and teleal morphology are included, and there are 13 families of rust genera has been proposed. But as per the latest, there are now 15 families of rust fungi. So you can go through this particular reference. This is the latest publication in journal Mycosphere. So here is the complete detail of the number of fungi, then number of genera included in the fungi, and total number of species included under those particular genera. So let's start with the apart from the morphology of teleospores. We will I have also included here the morphology of other spore stages. First start with the asiospores. So what we have to see here, the morphology of teleospores. You can see the surface structure of teleospores. This surface structure is different from this. This surface structure is different from this, and this surface structure is different from this. I'm not confusing here to which particular genus or species these surface structures belong. But while we are going through the identification on microscopic basis, this is basically known as ornamentation. This is basically known as the designing of the surface structure. So asiospores, with respect to various rust fungi, they can be differentiated on the basis of their surface ornamentation or surface structures. So you can see variation in surface structures. Similarly, you can see I have derived this particular slide from the this particular book, this particular reference. So this is the variation in the morphology of iridospores. You can see all the iridospores on the basis of surface morphology, they have different designings. If they are similar designing, you can see first three have similar designing, that is the spine-like structures, but you can see the arrangement of spines. First, A is different from B, B is different from C, and in case of fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, you can see these are not the spines, they are very these are blunt spines ends, and these are very thin ends, these are blunt ends. But if we see the arrangement of these spines, it is also different. Then you can see this is the radial arrangement, this is again the different type of radial arrangement, and these are totally different from the first one. So if we go through the morphology of iridospores, this will also help to select the correct species genera, but also the correct species identification of any particular rust fungi. Then you can see the morphology of teleospores. I have included our own slides here. These are the different variation in the slides of various teleospores of Puccinia, bicell teleospores. But you can clearly see A is different from B, B is different from C, all are bicelled. But on the basis of their this size, on the basis of their length as well as width, as well as the basis of their presence of some structures on their top, and then the width of their basal cell, width of their upper cell, then width of their septum, and the total all over size of this teleospores, you can clearly see all teleospores are different. So why these are different? Because all we have derived from different host surface. So these teleospores basically definitely help us to decide these all are Puccinia species. So on the basis of further this investigation, on the basis of spore size and other characteristics, we can go for species level. But for genus level, it is sufficient, that is bicell teleospores, this is Puccinia. Similarly, these first three are Euromyces, then this is Pilularia, this Phragmidium. So these spore structures are variously different from each other. So on the basis of teleospores, we can easily identify the dust fungi on the up to the genus level. Then I have included some field photograph of rust fungi. This is the rust on Barberry species, acial stage. This is the rust on Clematis species. This is uridial stage. You can see here this yellow color on the leaf surface. This is the underside of the surface. This is the above side of the surface. You can see where the sorus form on the lower side, correspondingly chlorosis occurs on the upper side. So on the upper surface, you cannot imagine lower side will be covered totally with the yellow structure. So you should be very careful or your observation should be very careful during the field work to collect a sample. Otherwise, you can omit the sample on the basis this may not be a rust. Similarly, this is the rust on mint, mentha, and this is a wild strawberry. This is the rust on a wild strawberry. Similarly, this is the rust on Parthenium species. This is the rust of Trifolium species. Similarly, this is the rust on Oxalis species, and this is the rust on Rubia species. This is the host Rubia. This is the host Oxalis. You can clearly differentiate. This is why this is basically teleal stage, and this is uridial stage. This is teleal, and this is uridial stage. Similarly, this is the rust on Urtica species. So I mentioned here, if the infection is severe, it may cause gall. So this is, you can see here, gall-like structure. Similarly, this is the rust on a Buxus species. You can see here, these all are the, due to the rust infection, this is rust fungi, Euromyces, but basically this also form the abnormal growth of the leaf tissue and also form the gall-like structures. You can see here. You can see here. Similarly, this is the rust on Euphorbia, very beautiful structure. And this is the same rust on the Populus species. You can see here. But these sorus and these sporus are totally different. So that is why this may be Euphorbia, this may be Euphorbia, but species will be different because their arrangement or their production or the production of symptoms or the arrangement of sorus is different on their respective hosts. Similarly, this is again the gall-like structures. You can see here, this is the rust on a rose species. Definitely it may be Phragmidium. This may be the thread-like structure produced on the underside of Pyrus species. This is also a rust. So this is some exceptions. Yes, sir. See the some separate type of identification features apart from the coloration. So these are also some type of rust fungi on Pyrus species. Similarly, you can see here the rust on bamboo. Then these are the two type of rust on the same plant, that is Pistacia, one species, and this is another type of rust fungi on the Pistacia. That's why I said earlier that these may be of dark brown or even black in color or purple in color, and this is type of discoloration. You can see here around the sorus, you can see the yellow coloration. So this yellow coloration means the pathogen has started the chlorosis of the leaf tissue. Then this is about the how we can identify rust fungi. Now come to the research with respect to India. In India, or luckily we are covering this aspect of rust fungi, that is the current status of rust fungi in India. So we are still in progress of this compilation, and very soon we will be happily to share this information with all of you. So there are all 15 families of the rust fungi. These are found occurred in India with respect to rust fungi, and all the rust fungi, these are distributed in 66 genera. All the 15 families, they contain or distributed or consist of 16 genera and 582 species. So this is the current scenario with respect to India. Then now, what is, if anyone want to work on rust fungi, from where he can collect the literature, or what type of literature he or she can collect or he or she can consult. So I have also included some online, offline literature. So for rust fungi, the most common, you should have this particular manual, that is genera of illustrated genera of rust fungi. What is the beauty of this book? This is the one book which contain all the characteristics up to genus level of all the rust genera. It has number of line diagrams. It has number of colored photographs. So this is basically not a very large book. It only contains 225 pages. This book only contains 2 to 25 pages, and each and every page it has a very good information, and this book is worldwide acceptable, including India. Similarly, we can consult for reference, not for Indian reference. This is for a reference, that is rust fungi, British rust fungi. Then we can consult, this is also a very good book, that is the rust fungi on cereals, grasses and bamboos. Similarly, one more book, this is specifically from India, rust fungi of Kerala. So this is again a very good book for the initiation or to start a research on rust fungi. And this is again the reference book. This book is not for to identification. This book is mainly you can use for trying to find out which type of rust fungi is occurs in India with respect to different states. If you want to search for the occurrence of any rust genera or species or particular host with respect to any specific state, this book is very helpful because it contains all the information in the form of a list as well as in the form of references. Similarly, there is another book that is the update of all the fungi, plant pathogenic fungi, not only rust fungi. This book contains a portion of rust fungi, and this is an update from update for 11 years of this current century, that is 2000 to 2011. So you can also consult this book. And most recently, this is the most valuable book you should have, or you can purchase this book, Records of Indian Fungi. So this is not only included the rust fungi, it included all the fungi in the form of list of references and authors of Indian fungi. So first part basically describes about the occurrence of all the fungi, including rust fungi reported from India, and this is the second volume. And this part includes all the references. So both the volume, these are very useful to update your knowledge of the rust fungi with respect to India. Now this is the literature in the form of book. Now we will discuss about the online resources. This is the online, these are the online resources, and for online resources there are a lot of databases. ICR have its own databases, IMTech Chandigarh has its own databases. Then similarly, Agarkar Research Institute Pune, it has their own databases. This database is basically provide you the current scenario of the rust fungi, and fortunately this is the fungi from India, and we are very fortunate that is one of the participants, Dr. Kiran, he is with us. So I'm very thankful to you, sir. You prepared this database for Indian scientists, and this for a research in, I'm doing research in rust fungi. So basically for me it's very useful because I already have this information, so I have to go further beyond this information. Otherwise, if I want to start this information, I have also go for this information. So you have already solved a lot of problems for Indian persons who are doing research in rust fungi. So this is the contact detail of the curator. You can contact Dr. Kiran for this further detail of this database. So this database provides the number of lot of information of the rust fungi with respect to India. That is total number of families, total number of genus, total number of species, and total number of records. Similarly, now apart from India, there is another websites. You can use these websites for preliminary identification, for microscopic identification also. There is a key, identify a rust, and about the key, this identify a rust. If you click this point, you will find a complete blank form. You put your all measurements in this form, and you can little bit get the closer information to a genus as well as a species. But you cannot say this will be fit for India, because these information are specifically for Australia. But this kind of website you can use for your preliminary practices to identify rust fungi. Similarly, such type of website is available for South Africa. You can see these are the description, identify a rust. If you click this link also, you will again find a blank form. You can put all your measurements in this form and find out the type of rust fungi, and you can imagine the Indian scenario, because it is again specific for South Africa. It is not specific for India, but you can practice your identification this measurements on the by using these websites. Similarly, this is one more website. This is not for practice. You can find here, if you click on genera, you will find number of genera of rust fungi, for example, Puccinia, Euromyces, and other genera. And this particular website, it provides a complete worldwide information, not only from India, it is complete worldwide information. And why this information is important? Because on this particular website, you will find the general about the rust fungi, then about the general morphological and microscopic characters, measurements, as well as their molecular characters, which type of these markers these can be useful for identify at generic level, and which type of marker are useful for identification of particular rust fungi at species level. So although this particular website is under progress, so it has lot of data about the rust fungi also, so you use this website, that is one stop shop fungi also. Similarly, this is the latest website. This website, that is the outline of fungi, it is the curated by Dr. Nalin. So you can, if you use this fungi, you will find the complete worldwide outline of fungi, including rust fungi. Not only the rust fungi, outline of all the fungi present on earth or reported till date, you will find the complete latest information. If you click this particular link, you will find the particular publication used to generate this website. Similarly, you can use Mycobank to search any type of literature, or sorry, any type of this Mycobank number, and that the submission country, submission author, as well as the some other detail of the rust fungi. Similarly, this is again one more, that is Index Fungorum we can use. Okay, so this is about the online and offline sources, database sources for the literature for the identification, or we can use for the identification of rust fungi. Now, what we can do in future? What is lacking, still lacking with respect to Indian scenario? Most of the rust fungi identified in India, most of, not 100%, no doubt some are identified on the further parameters, but most of the identified rust fungi in India, that is only on morphotaxonomy basis. So I don't say here morphotaxonomy is not enough to identify a fungi, but if we add the this SAM analysis, scanning electron microscopy pics, to analyze the spore structures, you can see these all are the SAM images. So these surface structures are very clear. Instead of if we use the microscopic structures, in that case these structures are not very clear. But in SAM analysis, these structures becomes very clear. So definitely these provide the accurate information on the eurospores as well as other type of spores. That is are Asiospores. You can see this ornamentation, these spine-like structures are different from these structures. These structures are different from this structure. That means SAM analysis, if you go for SAM analysis of rust fungi available in our own area, that means you will be able to identify rust fungi more accurately. Then what are the different scopes of rust fungi apart from SAM analysis? Some of the genera, these are now transformed to, for example, Scopellite is transformed to Marvelia. Similarly, this Trichodium, it is changed to now Euromyces, but the Indian records are still under the previous genera. The complete genera is changed to new genera, but the Indian records or Indian types, these are still at the previous genera. So it is a very good opportunity for working in the rust fungi. If we go for molecular analysis, you will be able to place these rust genera in their, or these species or the records from India into correct taxonomic position. Similarly, if we go for molecular studies, definitely we will be able to revise or classify these rust fungi into their correct taxonomic position. So what we are doing, we are working in a group in India, and we are doing the outline of in this Indian Puccinia with respect to India. We are also trying to compile the whole literature of rust fungi with respect to India, and we are trying to start a series on Indian rust fungi with respect to each genera, with respect to each family. So this is our research program. Our research group is currently going on, working on. And last, it is my humble request to all of you. We are working on such type of aspects. If anyone is willing to collaborate with us, you can contact me directly on this particular mail ID, that is a2gautam2006@gmail.com. It is not only for collaboration. If you have any query at any time, not only this time of presentation, if any time in coming in future, you can contact me on this particular email. Similarly, it's my humble request as a researcher, as a participant, I requested all of you, if you find any type of rust in and around of your area, please click a picture, neat and clean picture, and send us. It will be very helpful for us to include in our further research. So this is a humble appeal for any type of collaboration as well as the photographs. Thank you very much.
I will just try to find out the questions, some of the questions I have received, so that you can answer those things, sir. Sir, please give some examples of common rust on gymnosperm with their host.
Okay. Some examples of
Um, rust on
gymnosperms.
gymnosperms
Gymnosperms.
with
Okay.
their host.
For example, Chrysomixa. Let's suppose Chrysomixa. Basically,
Okay,
Chrysomixa it is found on Picea.
I see.
Okay. Then similarly, the rust on rhododendron. It is not a gymnosperm basically, but sometime rust you may find on Pinus species. Basically, I'm from Himachal Pradesh, and we are in the this diversity of gymnosperms. We have collected some rust also from these gymnosperms, or Pinus also. Gymnosporangium is also found on this gymnosperms, Chrysomixa. These type of found on gymnosperms.
Okay, sir. And why pycnial stage is treated as zero stage?
Basically, sir, what happened? This is the initial stage when the rust fungi it start infection by this positive and negative, or male and female, we can say positive and negative strains, they fuse at this stage. So after the initiation of this stage, the first stage, that is uridal stage, it starts infection. So that is why this is the starting point. We considered it a zero stage, and after that we can start with the 1, 2, 3, and 4 stages.
Okay, sir. And can we use rust as a biocontrol of weed?
Sometimes, sir. Sometimes, for example, Parthenium. The rust on Parthenium, you will be surprised to know some of the researchers around the world, they are trying to use this rust as a biocontrol agent to control, and they are testing this particular Puccinia species on other weeds also, because this is specifically you find on the Parthenium,
Okay,
not on
sir.
other hosts. So that is why this is and we are also trying to use this particular biocontrol agent. So we have also started work on the use of this fungi to check the growth, to infect the other weeds also. So we are in very initial stage, so we are not able to disclose the result here, but definitely.
What is the beginner's guide to be mycotaxonomist? How we should start study to identify fungi? Please elaborate.
Sir, for beginners, and particularly if we talk about the basically the rust fungi, for beginners, the first point is to try to identify on the basis of colors. That is very much important, because the color differentiation for identification of rust fungi is very important. Basically, some of fungi, for example, powdery mildew, it is also identified, we can identify on the basis of colors, but sometimes it may be confusing. For example, downy mildew, it is little bit light, somewhat of light yellow color. It may be sometimes light yellow color. So there are a number of pathogens which are also found in the form of identified or appeared in the form of powder, in the form of various colors. So correct identification on the basis of, firstly, on the basis of color, to identify specifically it's a rust disease, that is very important. Then go for the slide preparation. The methodology or the preparation of slide is very important, because it's not easy task. It's a very scientific use of slide preparation. Otherwise, the spores of rust, they may distributed, or they may be dispersed in under the this cover slip. So preparation of slide is very important. Then you have to study some before going through, you have to study for some this literature. Literature study is very important before going for any type of identification. Go for literature, study it, memorize some points, then implement those points. This is the basically advice for beginners to start the study of rust fungi.
Okay. Does rust fungi also harm insects, animals, and humans?
In case of humans, it is allergic. Basically, it's allergen. It may cause allergy. And
For insects?
insects, I have no idea. Insects, because I have not go through any type of literature for insects.
Okay.
It may be, but I have no idea.
So in future, if you come across anything like that, you can let us know, sir.
Definitely.
So,
I have put. That's why I put email ID over here. If
okay.
any type of queries still have, you can send me direct query.
So
I will answer each and
another
every.
is there, sir. One more question: is there any specific chemical which is secreted by specific rust fungi? Kind of secondary metabolites, I think they are asking.
No, sir. I have no idea because I'm purely taxonomist. So I'm chemotaxonomy. I still have to start it. And
Okay.
no,
Can
basically,
plants survive after infection, or it is possible that rust fungi species restricted to a particular part?
sorry, sir.
So what he is asking, like if a plant is infected by a rust fungi, whether that rust fungi will entirely over dominate the plant, or the plant, like if it is infected in rust leaf, it will grow just in leaf and it will not affect the plant growth, like that something.
Uh, Basically, what happens in case of the fungal infection, there are two types of infection, that may be localized infection or systemic infection. So if it is localized infection, definitely it will affect only specific parts. It may be leaf inhabitant, definitely infect leaves. It doesn't infect any other plant parts. And if it is a systemic infection, it may infect most probably all the plant parts. So which part it infect, it may be reduced growth. But overall, because rust fungi, it is utilized the food machinery of plant, the host, definitely the growth of the host, it will affect it, maybe small, maybe large. In some case, for example, I have mentioned here, in case of corn plants, reduction of photosynthesis, because chlorosis takes place. When chlorosis takes place, definitely photosynthesis is reduced down.
Okay.
So when the normal process is decreasing, definitely the normal process, the normal production process decreasing, definitely growth also will decrease. Okay.
So is there any antibiotic isolated from rust fungi? If yes, for what type of diseases they are used?
No, this type, no idea. Antibiotic, I have no
Okay, sir.
idea.
It's okay. So our next is like, can you give some Indian fungal examples of hyperparasites on rust fungi?
Yeah, I have some examples, but this time have some examples, but this time I
Okay,
have
it's okay, sir.
forgot to include here, because I have idea in my mind to include that example. Definitely, I have, but I will definitely ask the participant to send me this some more questions on my website. This mail ID, I will definitely send him along with the literature of hyperparasite of rust fungi.
Okay, sir.
I have examples. I have papers also.
So these much questions only as of now I have received. So on both platform in Zoom and YouTube.
Okay.
So I think this is the time to close the session. So I'm so happy to propose vote of thanks. I would like to thank our special guest, Dr. Ajay Kumar Gautam, Director Research, Associate Professor and Coordinator, School of Agriculture, Faculty of Science, Abhilashi University, Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, India, for accepting our invitation and delivering an insightful presentation. The knowledge of him in the field of mycology and plant pathology has inspired all the young minds who participated in the webinar. It helped us enormously to understand the need of study of rust fungi and their identification. The best part is that he carried out entire talk with the economical and ecological approach with rust fungi, which really helps the researchers to take up any further research on plant pathology. And the talk can be considered to be the copy of reference for any researchers who wants to work on rust fungi and plant pathology. The photographies and images which he showed off it was wonderful, which with full clarity and very nice informative. And the books which he listed was also very informative. And so much of work he has done, it shows that he has worked on so much of rust fungi of India. And on behalf of AARI and eTeaching Tamil, I heartily express my sincere thanks once again for giving us a wonderful speech, sir. And we also look forward to your able guidance and support, sir, in future. I also wish to thank our audience for their great interest in the session and also patiently listening to the speaker. I thank you all once again. Without your support, we could not have succeeded this much. And I also uh, convey my sorry for the disconnections happened in between of the sessions. So we express the sorry, and I also thank our board of directors and scientists and other staffs of AARI for continuously supporting me in organizing consecutive webinar sessions. I request all participants to visit our site www.aari.yolasite.com to know more about our upcoming webinar session. There is one more session on tomorrow on secret success of PhD at 11 a.m. Kindly join all. And also on 5th, World Environmental Day, we are conducting a seminar on my mangroves ecology and ecological factors. So please join on those also. Kindly do visit our website for more information. So thank you all. And once again, I thank you, Dr. Ajay Kumar, for the wonderful presentation and great discussion session. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
So we'll conclude this session now.